Bob Canada fought World War II 5 times longer than America did.
Oh, Len, you have to have just an amazing story. So when Chris took over the book,
Yes.
you were an X-Men fan, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
Did you have any guidance, or were you just like, go do your thing?
Not fair. If he started, as he went on over the years, and I was no longer editor but still his friend, I would turn to him occasionally and go, a little suggestion for the X-Men? Finish a story eventually. You've got 15 stories.
You have this guy walking through a field
end.
for 4 issues. What is he doing?
But otherwise, it wasn't my place, once I stopped being the editor, to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fair. You know, nobody really ever told me what to do.
Yeah.
After I got my feet under me in my career. So, also, you know, people always ask me, well, how do you feel about what people do with your characters after you left them? And my response is, gee, I wonder how Siegel and Schuster and Stan and you know Bob Kane or Bill Finger more accurately, or folks that feel about what I did with their characters when I wrote them. It's not fair for me to go, mine. You know, it's part of you're creating the modern mythology.
Well, that ruins that next question. Thanks, man.
I'm sorry. Well, okay, we've got fine. No, I'm sorry.
No, so do you still read the books that you helped create or anything like that? Do you follow Wolverine or X-Men or anything like
And I put this away. There are too damn many books being published.
Yes.
I have two options. I can read all the books being published or have a life. And so I kind of got the...
Wait, you're saying I don't have a life? Thanks.
You're very welcome, my friend. It's just...
I don't even read all the X books anymore.
I don't read... I read almost none of the X books. I was reading Wolverine for a while. I read Astonishing when Joss was writing it, obviously. Yeah. I know Joss and a fan of his work. And so, but overall, I still read the books I like as a fan.
Yeah.
What are you? I stuck with Swamp Thing for most of its run. You know, obviously I hired Alan, so yeah, I stuck with that long after I said that was getting so different. I stuck with Rick Veitch's run, which I thought was very well written, it is. And then it went, and so I stopped reading them up because I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now in the current revival, because I hated all the ones in between them, I didn't think Karen Bergen was my not apprentice, she was my I was her teacher.
Protege.
Yes, she was my protege.
I'm correcting Len Wein. How cool is that?
I'm getting old. You know, I'm happy I remember my pants most days. Most days, no, Karen, I just didn't think Karen ever quite figured out how to do the book at Vertigo.
It's not an easy...
No, it isn't. But you know, I've been reading it under Scott Snyder and Charles Soule.
And you're enjoying it? Charles is doing a great job.
Yeah, I think both of them really done... Well, part of the problem Karen had was she refused to admit that Swamp Thing really belongs in the DCU. He needs to interact with those of that universe.
Yeah.
That's where he gets interested.
That's what Alan Moore did so well with that book.
Exactly.
That was... Oh, man. Okay. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, and we're also running out of time.
Yeah, we are. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Oh, well. You know,
in the lecture.
Why are people always surprised they're actually being...
Yeah, I know.
The question I want to ask you yesterday when you were with, what's his name, Marv and Jared.
That's his name, Marv.
Swamp Thing.
Yes.
You know, all the iterations that were in the movies, I know the first one by Wes Craven, then they did the sequel that had Heather Locklear in it. Then I believe there was a TV series on USA for...
Yes, there was. 70-something episodes.
They ran that long.
How did you feel about, did you like any of those interpretations? And is Swamp Thing ready to come back to the audience?
Oh, okay. I wrote a screenplay for Joel Silver about 10 years ago for a new Swamp Thing. Part of the problem, the only thing that's kept it from getting made, at least for most of the 10 years, was, believe it or not, there were rights problems. No one knows who ended up with the rights that got sold to what, and people...
That was a New Line thing, right?
Something. It got very complicated, and it's still not fully resolved, but mostly resolved. Now what's changed things is Guillermo Del Toro, who's a friend of mine also. I know a lot of people. And,
you know a few.
Yeah. Guillermo is the world's biggest Swamp Thing fan. And he's been talking about doing the Justice League Dark book, and wants Swamp Thing as a member, obviously, because he's in the book as well. And so they can finally do it right. They can do, well, I mean, the first meeting I had with Joel Silver, he said, I got only one thing about this movie that matters. I said, what? He said, if we're gonna do this, we're doing it right. We're gonna do Swamp Thing CGI, not a guy in a rubber suit. I said, twist my arm. Yeah, and so that's it. It's going to go big budget when it goes. I think most of the people who have worked on the various incarnations of the character out of comics have done the best they can with what they've had. And what they've had is basically bus fare. They really haven't had much money to work with. And I think that's the problem. There are moments in that first movie by West that are really nice. They're sweetly done, but then they get silly because they had no money to do things. So you work with what you got.